All right, I'd like to call the regular meeting for the Plan Commission for Monday, October 9th, 2023 at 6 p.m. to order. Meeting roll call and declaration of a quorum by Secretary Parker.
Cronin.
Here.
Snell.
Present.
Houston.
Here.
Kern. Oh yeah, and he's on his way. And Travis Hoffman is excused. Jordan.
Here.
Mumper, and Mumper is excused also. And Gary is here.
Call the meeting to order for the Extraterritorial Zoning Committee in the village. Take roll call.
Okay, Olson.
Here.
Cronin.
Here.
Christensen.
Here.
Gerndt. Here.
Here.
Paul.
Here.
And Mumper is excused.
All right. Public comment. Is there anybody online or in the audience that wishes to make a comment on a matter for tonight? Do you want to go at your agenda item? We can wait if you'd like to do that.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Second time, anybody else that wishes to make a comment on something for tonight? Third and final time, any comments? Hearing none, I'll move into minutes from previous meetings. We have item number 4, minutes from July 10th, 2023 joint PC and ETZ meeting.
Move to approve the minutes as presented.
Second. Motion by Pincinot, second by Deason. On the question, hang on a second,
That
that's for
was-
ETZ.
The Plan Commission already approved that.
So this is for ETZ.
As you were.
So,
Move to approve minutes as presented.
The second.
so motion by Hull, second by Olson on the question. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So carried. Item number 5, minutes from September 11th, 2023 PC meeting. This is for PC. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Gerndt, second by Deason. On the question. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So carried. Communications, disclosures, and recusals. Member of the body should make any required disclosures or recusals during this time. Do we have any? No? Okay. Item number 6, written communications received. I have one. This is from Samuel Wessel. It was an email that was sent today to Valerie. It says, "Hi Valerie, I was hoping to make the public hearing Monday, but won't be able to. Please include this email in the public comments. I live at 5810 Tricia Ave in Weston and support allowing chickens in the village. Despite being near the dog park, we see plenty of dog owners using other parks in our neighborhood without leashes and owners who don't pick up their waste, and it would be unthinkable to ban them. We support chickens because relatively few people would likely own them than the number of people who have dogs. With inflation and supply chain issues these last few years, I agree that society should be more interested in growing food locally, and this is a cost-effective way to help families save money while teaching responsibility. Additionally, having perfect lawns of grass that don't provide a source of food is a 1950s trend that will continue to decline as the country continues to struggle with high food and energy prices. It wasn't that long ago when most families grew a lot of their own food, so allowing chickens as another way to grow food locally shouldn't be seen as a controversial idea as long as cleanliness and noise standards are followed. Most lots in Weston have a lot of room compared to other cities, so I'm sure we can agree on size, location, etc. So chickens aren't as noticeable to neighbors. Thanks, Sam Wessel." All right, public hearings. Ordinance number 23-016, an ordinance amending provisions within chapter 94 of the municipal code affecting the performance standards of the personal storage facility land use, calculation of minimum required parking spaces, bicycle parking, and non-conforming sites in the village of Weston and the extraterritorial zoning area of the town of Weston. I'll open the public hearing and presentation by staff.
Okay, so these are a bunch of different ordinances that we have looked at over the last few months. So I just kind of put them all together for ease of moving forward. We can take things out, we can make some changes, but this was based off of what we as staff heard during the discussions. So amendment number 1 was the personal storage facilities. We talked about this, I believe, at the last meeting. Make some changes to allow for outdoor storage of recreational equipment and vehicles. It requires it to be an accessory use and also by conditional use. And requires some screening also. And then does include personal items, not just household items as the current ordinance states. And then also allows for some offsite business storage. So if anyone has any questions on that one. Amendment number 2 is in regards to how we'll go forward with calculating minimum required parking spaces. This one came up with the Project Timberwolf, now Amazon project site plan. When we don't necessarily have a use that fits, it allows for the site plan approval authority to kind of look at the uses and determine which one fits better. So that could be staff or that could be this body.
Or a little bit of both.
Or a little bit of both, yes,
Is that what your underlined thing is on page 7?
should be, yes.
It's just extremely difficult for a layman to interpret that wording. I assume that's what you meant, but Joe Smith sitting at home in his basement reading this thing, probably won't read it exactly to mean that. Says in the case of structures or uses not mentioned, the provision for which use is similar as determined by the site approval authority shall apply. Can we clean that up a little?
Sure.
Make it less attorney-ish?
No offense. Tell us a story, no offense.
No, he's an attorney, so that's why.
I thought he was over like looking at Michael.
No,
and
but
going,
that
"Oh,
came from a similar ordinance, so
Alright.
I was just taking it from another ordinance. But
thought
I
that's
can
what it
put it
meant.
into layman's terms,
Thank
yes.
you.
So amendment 3 also deals with off-street parking and traffic circulation, but this one is in regards to the bicycle parking. So it just basically drops down, probably too complicated also, but it basically gives you a minimum and allows for us to also not have as much based off of the use if we are using our best judgment on some of these uses. Sometimes they will not require bicycle parking.
Or 30 bike spots.
Or 30 bikes parked, yes.
Okay.
Is there a reason why you have inverted U preferred? Do we care why it's the U?
That came from that other discussion, so I talked with Roman a little bit on that.
So Roman likes the U.
Like bicycle parking, Jim. I mean, even if it's on your ceiling. Okay. That's just standard verbiage from several other model ordinances that we looked at.
They also are very easily purchasable. And from a bike owner's perspective, they're better than having a rack or just something outside designated as bike parking because it's a solid structure that's usually bolted into the concrete pad. And so it's not easy for someone to cut in or remove it with the bike, even if you put a lock on. So it's just kind of the most common. They actually, there's another one, they call it the W or whatever. There's one other that's common that's supposedly used quite a bit too.
That's not preferred, only the U is preferred.
Well, a W is a double U.
It's the W, yeah.
What? I
So
haven't got to the bottom of that, okay.
It's also so you can get the frame of the bike, not just the front wheel.
Can you lower that shade, please? He wants to see your beautiful. But that's how they are actually described and sold by most of the places, so. It's kind of standardized language for those things.
I think it says it's preferred too. We're not saying you have to have that. It's more of a
It gives
recommendation.
somebody who's looking at it an idea of what to look for too. Okay, and the last one basically deals with sites. This was something that came up when Aaron and I were working on one of the items that is later on the agenda with the bug properties in regards to a non-conforming site situation. So it helps to clarify how much of the property has to be brought up to new requirements when a non-conforming site rebuilds, so.
All right, thank you. Anything else from staff? Mark?
Go back, I apologize, but to staff, I had one question on the personal storage facility in the performance standards, section 6. Some of the new language in the first intro there. It says all outdoor storage areas shall be completely enclosed by any permitted combination of building structures, walls, and solid fencing. But throughout all of our discussions, we always refer to as screening. Is there a reason we used enclosed instead of screened? Completely screened?
No, I can change it.
No, I just wondered if there was an intent, because doesn't enclosed usually mean also above?
Oh, I don't know.
And so I thought, even in your detail, you used the language of completely screened, I think, in the summary. And so that caught my eye, and I wondered if you did that purposely or if that was just something, so.
Fetch. All right, public comment period. So just so everybody in the audience knows, this is the time to comment just on this particular item. So first time, is there anybody online or in the audience that wishes to make a comment? Second time, anybody online or in the audience? And the third time, anybody that wishes to make a comment? Hearing none, I'm gonna go ahead and close the public hearing. Recommendation from staff.
Staff recommends approval with the changes that were discussed.
And discussion recommendation by planning and ETZ. Someone wanna make a motion?
I'll make a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees on the ordinance amendments as proposed, as noted by Jen, the modifications.
Second.
Motion by Jordan, second by Deason on the question. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So carried.
What's the wishes of the ETZ committee?
I'll make the same motion for ETZ.
Second,
Second.
motion made by Mark, second by Randy, same motion we had for the planning commission. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right. Item number 8, ordinance number 23-0XX. An ordinance amending provisions within chapter 94, article 4, section 94.4.09, parent 10 of the municipal code, affecting keeping of farm animals on residential lots as an accessory land use in the village of Weston and the extraterritorial zoning area of the town of Weston. I'll open the public hearing and presentation by applicant and or staff.
Alrighty, since the first time I brought this forward at the July meeting, we just had a discussion on what concerns you might have in regards to a backyard chicken ordinance. Since then, applicant Ryan Courtright had officially applied. And then since then, we have created the survey, which was open for village residents to take for about a month and a half. And in the meantime, Jen and I worked with Mark Roffers, who helped develop our zoning code, in reworking the keeping of farm animals on residential lots, that section of our code to allow for backyard chickens. So the ordinance that we created was based off of the comments that you had made at that meeting, along with trying to stay consistent with what is out there. and what other municipalities have adopted in their code. Other than that, Ryan Courtright is here. If you have any questions for him, I don't know if he has any presentation or anything to say. But yeah.
Do you have anything you'd like to add, Ryan?
Did the commission have a chance to read the letter I had written back in July with the application?
Yes, that's the one that's attached to
It's
the.
included.
Yes.
I won't read it again, just to give the overview. My family moved from Madison last summer, 2022. I'll be honest, we endured, I'll say, restrictions down in Madison during COVID, thinking that up here we would find, more freedom, so to speak. And then when it came to the chicken ordinance, it's interesting, Madison has since allowed 8 chickens. We had 4 when we were there. Moving here meant getting rid of our chickens. They're over in Green Bay at a brother-in-law's house, eagerly waiting to come home to our home here in Weston. If you read the letter, you saw some of the reasons I think that chickens make sense as far as the ordinance goes. And the one thing I guess I'd like to add that's not in there is simply that ordinances are for people who follow ordinances. And I came and I gave a comment at the September board meeting, and I said, I'm doing the harder thing by asking for permission. Much easier thing is to ask for forgiveness. And at that meeting, it became very clear that people on the board are aware that there are residents in Weston that have chickens. And the true ordinance, it seems, is the one that is practiced. As long as your neighbors don't complain, we're not going to enforce it. I'm asking the Plan Commission to put into effect a reasonable chicken ordinance that takes into account the concerns that people have with chickens. I understand that there are concerns. I would just say irresponsible people are irresponsible people, and they will be irresponsible regardless of an ordinance or no ordinance. In fact, if you've had bad experiences with chickens in Weston, just remember there was an ordinance against them. So the people you have a problem with, they're not the kind of people that follow ordinances. So as you consider the ordinance, it was thought out, I think, very well. I worked with Aaron. I'm interested in the feedback from the community survey. I don't know if you have the results.
Yep, everything's attached along with everybody's comments that supposed to comment.
Chickens was the most used word in that survey, in case anybody was wondering.
Yeah, people have strong opinions about chickens, apparently. The world will not fall. The sky will not fall if chickens come to Weston, nor will every house have chickens. I guess I would just say, I think ordinance against chickens are 1990s, and we can bring Weston into the 2000s, 2023. Most municipalities now allow for some backyard chicken ordinance. Weston is a minority, even here in Wisconsin. And in the letter, I know I pointed out, the Plan Commission's job is to make decisions in line with the purpose or the stated mission of the village in welcoming new families. Well, that's me, and I would argue that it's younger people that are more interested in having chickens. And if that's the goal of this commission, just keep that in mind as you think through the ordinance.
Thank you, Ryan. Could you state your name and address for the record, please?
Sure. Ryan Courtright, 6503 Alta Verde Street, Weston, 54476.
Thank you.
You substitute, Chairman.
Thank you for catching that. I guess I just assumed that I was assuming staff already had all that information. So. All right, anything else from staff, or that's, we good?
Unless you guys have any questions regarding the ordinance, happy to answer any questions you might have.
Go ahead, Mark.
Can I ask a couple of process things, just so that I'm clear and perhaps others? Would a building permit be required for a chicken coop and or run?
Correct. So the way we have it now, which would be, is in the ordinance now, but it says a license is required, no person shall keep chickens without first obtaining a valid license issued by the Village of Weston. The license shall be valid for 1 year from April 1st through March 31st, which is consistent with our dog licenses. But then it does say, prior to license issuance, interested parties shall first obtain site approval through an application, site inspection, and fee. So it would be another permit or license on Evolve.
But is this, the site inspection isn't the same thing as a building permit, is it?
We were
They're-
talking
they're
about
tied.
them being tied together. So the first permit would be more expensive. It would include the license and for those guys to go out and check, because that was what was an issue at the last meeting with placement and that kind of thing.
And then the second thing following up on that is the chicken coop and or run then considered an accessory building on the site?
I thought it said it in here that it had to follow all the accessory structure guidelines, right?
Well, yeah, the wording leaves that question. It says it has to be for siting purposes, it is. But I guess I wondered, are we counting those as accessory buildings or not? Because on these small lots, you only get one, it's my understanding. So you're talking gazebo or a coop, right?
Or a shedder.
Or a shed for your lawnmower or
If you have a
whatever.
garden shed, then you can't have a chicken coop.
And so I just so I just kind of was stepping back and looking as what exactly we were looking here. I understand we're doing it as a license, but I guess I just wondered, how does it fall under our normal zoning? And what are we looking at from a normal zoning perspective? For example, the proposed draft, I didn't see any specifications for what the coop should be. Some of the other draft or some of the other ordinances, thank you for putting those links, they give much more detail on what the expectations are for a coop. And so that's what brought up my whole, well, what kind of building are we talking about here? And how would you guys know? Well, I don't think it's state building code talks about chicken coops, and I might be wrong, but I'm not sure. So I just wondered from just a pure zoning perspective, usually you talk about site, building permits, counting the whether they're an accessory building or not. And I just wasn't sure what we were trying to do. Are we exempting it from all of those other normal things as a building, or are we including it? And if we are exempting it, then we have to go and make sure we make all those exemptions clear, I think, because then I went to the definition sections of our ordinances, and it's pretty clear under a building, it includes anything that includes housing of animals. And so we'd have to accept it out from our normal definitions. So I just wanted to bring that up as to what we were trying to look at from a normal zoning with a structure being placed in the backyard.
Yeah, so you do bring up some good points there. And when you talk about, for a single family small lot, allowing 800 square feet of total accessory structure floor area between now a gazebo, detached garage, and a yard shed, the difference here, the way I'm looking at it, is a chicken coop is not for residential use like those three are. And I do have a performance standard in there that lays out the enclosure size, which is, it's very consistent with what Wausau has. You need at least 3 square feet of space per chicken, but no more than 30 square feet total size. So we're talking a relatively small structure for the chickens. We can add it into the section of the code that talks about the allowed accessory uses, but the way I look at it is that's more for residential type buildings as opposed to an animal enclosure. If that kind of makes sense.
To Aaron's point, then, so are you gonna, if we do that for chicken coops.
Like a dog
We're
house.
gonna have to permit dog houses?
Well, that's where I was going with this, is how do we handle dog kennels or dog houses? I just wanted to be consistent with what we're doing on everything and or raise the issue of how are we looking at the dwelling? The other thing that comes up in reading through, I read through all of the other ordinances that you had links to. most places, there's actually a thing I never heard of before, a chicken tractor, which is a movable. You put wheels on the front and you have, yeah, like wheelbarrow type things on the back, and you can move it in different places in your yard, I assume to shade or to different things, and but then that's another thing that's in most of the other ordinances, is it has to be a hard surface. You cannot be on grass with your coop or your run. It needs to be a surface that can be clean. So by us not having those things, I wondered if we didn't have them because we were going away from that, or if we should be considering that. And I thought the most recent one that you had attached that I found, and not all of them were dated, so I didn't go back to look, but the Menasha one was very short, but had more description as to, it wasn't as detailed as some of them are related to the coop and or the kennel, but it did have more descriptive sentences in it as to what the expectations were. The other thing it seems to be common is they're restricting the height of these things in most of the ordinances. And I don't know why that is, but that is something that jumped out at me. Some have 8 feet, some have 7 feet.
Yeah, well, Ashley might be able to.
Hang on, just, we're still in the middle of a, can you give me just a minute? Okay, I'll get to you. I saw you. Go ahead,
I
Mark.
think there's just be careful out there. I think there's a hornet or a wasp or something there flying up there. See that?
Well, I was just trying to determine what the draft and what we were addressing and how we had narrowed it. I wasn't sure if the applicant had input on what the draft was, and so there were reasons, which is why I was bringing up now, is, I know that he looked at these other ones, and after I looked at them and I saw more detail in some of them, that's why I thought I should raise it at this point in the staff discussion, so that we all had some understanding as to, are we looking at everything in the draft because the staff felt there was a position to take on it, or are there more things that we also should be considering? So sorry about that, but I guess I was trying to just be more clear for everyone as to where we came from with this and what we were going to do. So those were the questions I had for staff.
Ashley, did you have something you wanted to add?
Well, I was going to answer some of those questions in relation to the WASA ordinance. I helped create it.
Sure.
So with regards to any height issues on the coops, we actually specifically chose no more than 24 square feet so that our inspections department was not involved. I do the inspections for all of these. They have to be 25 feet from any residential housing unit on a different property. So if the people want to have it on their own property right up against the house, no problem. And then 10 feet from any lot line. That was to have, so that there's no other issues with the neighbors. I've not had any neighbors complain about anybody else having chickens, hens specifically. The ones I get the complaints about are the ones that have the roosters. Again, speaking to the ones that, the people that don't want to follow the ordinances. So that was part of the reason for the size constraints on our coops. A lot of people actually go out and purchase coops from Fleet Farm, Menards, places like that are just kind of a pre-built thing. I've had 1 or 2 families actually build their own. And as far as I don't know what your ordinance says. I don't have a copy of it. But WASA's, it doesn't have to be on a solid ground. It has to be up off the ground. That's for the coop itself, but the run is attached. The run is on the ground, which WASA does not allow for the tractor that you were talking about. I kind of wish they did allow it. It's great for insect control and things like that. But I've had nobody have concerns with bugs or issues with illness or noise or anything of the sort in Wassa. And anybody I do have issues with are ones that actually have permits.
Can I just ask you a question? I'm looking at the Wausau ordinance and it says chicken coops and runs shall be constructed in a workmanlike manner, be moisture resistant, and either raised off the ground or placed on a hard surface such as concrete, patio block, or gravel.
That's the coop part. The run underneath does not need to be. So there's a coop where they house at, you know, at night where they have to be, they cannot be out in the run.
Chicken coops and runs must be secure and impermeable to rodents, wild birds, predator, including dogs and cats. Well, okay, that's not how I would read this, and I don't think that's how it's written, and that's why it's interesting since you were involved in it, and that's why I'm asking the question. It says chicken coops and runs shall be constructed and either raised off the ground or placed on hard surfaces. So I'm just wondering, you know, you're saying most people don't have the runs on a hard surface. I'm trying to figure
Right.
this out.
So some of them have done the pea gravel, but otherwise, and I mean, some of them do, but otherwise they're immovable, so they're getting just one area of grass and they're keeping it clean.
So it is grass, hard surface, or gravel is what people
the
are using
runs.
for the runs. That is
Yeah.
what they're using for the runs.
Mhm.
Okay.
Have you had any issues with someone having chickens, someone having a dog next door? Where they don't get along, kind of like dog and cat?
Again, that came back down to the ones that weren't supposed to have the chickens to begin with, because they did not have a coop or a run set up in a way that the dog couldn't get into it. And literally, the dog went over the fence. So that's been an issue. And then another one, again, they had it fenced, did not have it covered, and a fox came in and took out one of the hens. But again, it actually states in the ordinance that it's supposed to be in a manner that can't happen.
Yeah, we have some pretty harsh winters up here. How does that work? Do you have to have a heat lamp out there in the winter? What about running water in the winter? I mean, obviously water's gonna freeze, so.
Yeah, so they have to provide non-frozen water. A lot of people will have some kind of heating going to it. I have seen some ridiculously well-constructed coops that are incredibly insulated. They have like the roof will open up so that they can get in and clean, and I've got other people that actually have asked for waivers. So in Wassa, you can ask for a waiver so that you can have a larger coop or things like that. And I've got one lady who actually can go in and stand up inside and be able to clean out the entirety of the coop. So there are some heaters. We haven't had an issue with any fires as far as that goes. Some people are actually putting the coops right against either their garage or their home, so they're getting some of that heat. But chickens also tend to do a lot of huddling together. And so having at least 4 is ideal so that they can actually get some body heat that way.
Okay. Dave?
This request is for allowing an individual to have 4 chickens,
4 hens.
4 hens.
5
No,
hens.
5 hens. no
Our
roosters.
code is 5.
5 hens, no roosters.
Correct.
So what happens next week when the duck people are here, or the goose people, or the guinea hen people, or whatever?
I have people who have had ducks in Wassa and they've had to get rid of them, and I've not had problems. I don't think people are necessarily eating duck eggs the way that they are chicken eggs. So that would be more of a pet issue.
And is this request for the smaller lots or? So the 1/4 to 1/3 lot is what the request is for?
So the way I have it written is it's for any residential zoning district, so single family, small, large, multifamily, or two-family, but the principal use of that lot has to be single family detached residence. And I have a minimum lot size of 15,000 square feet, so that's just over 1/3 of an acre. But it eliminates a lot of those smaller, 10 to 14,000 lots that you're seeing in like the Hinter Spring subdivision, some other areas. Along with setbacks from houses, such as that Wausau does have it as well, that 25 feet from any existing dwelling. I did implement that in here as well. But it can't be any closer than that.
And again, for Wassa, if anybody, wherever they want to put it, it always has to be in the backyard. I think it's back and side yard, can't be in the front. If there's ever a concern of it being too close, people can, again, request for a waiver. But in that case, we would request that we have a note from the neighbor who would be closest to say, okay, yeah, I don't mind the chickens being there. Many neighbors have absolutely no concern about it, don't even know that their neighbors have chickens.
Just out of curiosity, what does our enforcement look like right now without an ordinance? I mean, because we don't have a contract with, or am I thinking something different? Maybe that
What
was
a
the,
contract with what?
you were here, was it last week, 2 weeks ago for the
She does
the dogs?
animals, yeah.
I don't have a contract for stray,
Okay,
non-dog strays.
But so like right now, we don't have an ordinance. I mean, if someone had a complaint, who do they call? Do they call you?
I send the complaints there.
Okay, so how is that handled, being that we don't have an ordinance? Is it pretty like quick? Or do we, is there a process, or how does, I guess?
I go out and go, hey, we got, it's Wednesday, get them gone by Monday.
Okay,
People are less than cooperative, tend to be. I think I've got one person in particular that repeatedly was like hiding them back in the woods. So we were having a hard time even finding them. Then we didn't even have the ordinance or bond amount for our citation, so that was a struggle to even find, to be able to write a citation for that. Which I wanna say it's $124 now.
okay. So does that change with the creation of the ordinance, or is the process gonna be basically the same?
No, won't be the same.
Okay.
Well, I would potentially give them the opportunity of, hey,
Get a license.
get a license. Get to your, whatever the limit is, if it's gonna be 5, get a license, I'm giving you a warning, get it within X number of days. Or you're getting a citation, you can't have chickens, period.
Okay. So if there's an issue, it can be resolved relatively quickly.
How many of those calls have you had over?
We've had.
Been a couple recently.
I mean, there's definitely some off of the Mountain Bay Trail.
Is it more recently just for the fact that the survey went up?
No, it's a rooster that.
Yeah. It's,
that
we actually
some
haven't seen,
neighbor hears.
we haven't seen any uptick this year due to the survey.
So usually noise, or is it smell, or?
It's the
It's a
noise.
it's a rooster.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Almost all
they
the
end up bringing a rooster. I happened, as you guys were scrolling through, I saw in there, somebody put a comment in that roosters are required for eggs. That's incredibly false.
Yeah.
They're absolutely, they're used for fertilizing them, but you don't need them to get hens to lay.
You said you do the inspections on the coops and runs for Wausau. Is that something that you would be willing to do for Weston as well?
I'm looking for, to make sure that the coop is safe, which I think would meet your standards of proper construction, because I'm not gonna want something where, a chicken can get cut on a nail that's hanging out or, able to get out. 'Cause I don't know if you guys noticed, I'm not Rocky Balboa. I don't like chasing chickens. So I want them to be secure in their coops, and I don't want them getting injured, which is also part of our other parts of the animal ordinances. Which I'm not sure if this one does, but WASA specifically says that you have to still be in compliance with other parts of, not cruel and providing proper food, water, and shelter, things like that. So I think that would meet your standards.
What is your cost to inspect said chicken dwelling?
Our permit is $35 a year. That's it.
So the city of Wausau pays you nothing to show up?
I work for them.
There's a contract.
I work for them, I'm contracted.
Sure. So if we wanted you to come do it, it would cost you $35, it would cost the village of Weston $35 to have you come.
She would charge, we would charge whatever the license fee is that you guys decide.
Yeah, you guys pay an annual fee for our
Sure, but how do we
services, no
know
matter
There's
what.
no extra.
So did you, if you hear, Weston pays an annual service for.
She's
her.
part of Everest Metro. Everest Metro,
There's one humane officer that, right,
But
that
we're- but
services
we're
the
not
whole
trying to
area.
build-
Wausau
We're
never
not trying to
said
build
that.
government on 2 employees next week. That's not what we're trying to do, right?
Yeah, I just wanna make sure that our cost is covered, so it's not, hey, we're gonna bill an extra $35, we don't have this $35 to pay you.
No, it would be within the services of our contract, because I already do, pet fancier checks, if anybody, we haven't had anybody apply out here. But pet fancier checks or,
Stray dogs, you do all
Yeah.
that stuff.
but then, Schofield has me for, their kennel licenses that I have to go inspect for that, things like that. So that's already in there.
Was that your hope, Roman, is that she would do it and not?
That would be my hope, that way.
Okay.
We don't have to, and it's not gonna be a huge flood of chicken coops, but,
No, I think. it must be
it's,
like-
I'd rather not deal with this.
I think Travis would mind. Aaron said he was all about it. It seems like it's going good.
So, yeah, that would be my preference.
Excuse me, did you just give a number for Wausau? How many?
That's an estimate.
But what was it?
15 to
Okay,
20 total coops.
Oh, really? That's it?
Yeah.
And
we've
that's
had this
since-
for years.
That's since 2018?
Are there more than that don't have?
Those are
Oh, yeah.
documented,
Oh, yeah, I've
Those are
got,
documented, so.
not the gotaways,
huh,
not the gotaways, those are
Yeah.
documented, registered,
yes,
licensed, legit.
I've got 3 that I've been back and forth with lately that specifically have roosters on top of it. And a lot of those too tend to be, the Asian community, they tend to have a lot more, specifically in this one neighborhood that I'm thinking of, I've got 3 different houses. So that's why I've been back and forth with them a little bit, is trying to get across the laws and making sure I have an officer that can interpret for me.
Okay.
Yeah, they probably just don't understand.
And most of them are, just came over, so.
Yep.
You know,
It
that's
was
the way it
fine,
was
it was
back
fine back there.
And are they roosters or are they fighting cocks?
Well, I don't pay attention.
I'm just asking.
To the best of my knowledge, I think that they're just roosters, but those are things I watch for. I mean, back in 2014, there was the gentleman that was arrested in the big FBI case who had 26 fighting cock out here in Weston in his shed. So, I mean, it's here in the area, but unfortunately, that's something I can only monitor until I get more information.
So Michael schooling.
Does Does anybody else have anything else for Ashley? Otherwise, I'm gonna try to move this along. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Ryan, you were okay with what was being proposed as far as how the ordinance is written?
I leaned on Aaron and the guy that he works with or the village contracts with for the ordinance language, because I don't speak ordinances. So he did give me the basic outline, the main points, the lot size limit, 15,000 square feet. Which I think is pretty big for, I mean, our lot in Madison was 8,000, if we had chickens, no problem. I just think that the ordinance as it's presented, it really addresses the concerns that I've heard when it comes to chickens. Other than people having wrong ideas about what backyard chickens are, which makes sense if they've never seen them, had them.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. All right, public comment period. Is there anybody else online or in the audience that wishes to make a comment? Second time, anybody online or in the audience?
Can my son make a comment, or is that not allowed?
Sure, go for it.
Well, my name is Oliver.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was gonna say, state your name and address, please.
My name is Oliver Corey. I live at 6503 Altamont Street, Weston, Wisconsin, 54476. I would like to say that we had chickens in Madison and they were just, they were we got them in 2020. They were the best. And I have some reasons why chickens are really good. First of all, you get free eggs. I mean, you have to pay for some of their feed, but for the most part, you get free eggs. And I know most eggs are brown, white. We have one chicken, she lays blue eggs. So you can get different colored eggs with your whatever breed of chickens you get. They're also kind of fun to watch. They take dust baths sometimes. You know, I watch them flapping dust and it's kind of cool to see. And yeah, they're quiet. Besides the roosters, they crow, but no roosters, they're for the most time pretty quiet. They're definitely quieter than a dog. And yeah, most of the things you won't hear them calling. Yeah. If you have kids, they teach the kids responsibility. For a dog, I mean, you just pour the feed or pour the food and you have the water, but for chickens, you go outside, give them feed, make sure they're doing well, you know, that kind of thing. So it teaches kids and adults too responsibility. Friendliness. Some dogs aren't friendly, some cats aren't friendly, some chickens aren't friendly. Most are, I can assure you that. Besides the meat birds, most chickens are. All of ours were very nice. So if you get a chicken and you raise it from its chick days, it's gonna grow to kind of bond with you and you'll bond with it. They're fun. You get to go outside, see them, pet them. Kids, I mean, all my siblings, they love them. I love them. I don't know who wouldn't love chickens if they're nice. They're inexpensive for the most part. Besides the coop, the food isn't that much. You only have to pay for that. You get eggs and entertainment and other things. So they're overall not too expensive to keep. I'd like to conclude that I really like chickens and I would really like if we had chickens here in Weston.
Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other comments? Okay, hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Recommendation from staff?
They're recommending the ordinance as presented.
Discussion and recommendation to the board by planning and ETZ.
Mark, are you happy with the verbiage, or Aaron, are you saying you had some verbiage that there's some requirements that that Mark wasn't able to see, or?
I mean, for the most part, it's, like I said, pretty consistent with what other municipalities have adopted. Yes, you probably could have, I could have made a laundry list of performance standards, but I think that's just kind of a little excessive, but for what we have here, I think it's, gives us some teeth as far as licensing and coop standards, lot standards, everything that was brought up by planning commission at the previous meeting. So I think together something that really covers that basis and definitely be a good starting point as far as adopting an ordinance for backyard chickens.
Mark?
And my comment would just be that if we're using the same enforcement person who's familiar with Wausau's, the closer we are to Wausau's certainly is benefit to her and her performance of her duties and also in interpretation of if they've been in existence since 2018. I think she would have said if something didn't seem to be working right or whatever. So I think you asking me, Gary, is my concerns. I think she addressed them in the sense of she's the person who's enforcing it. She knows what's out there and what her expectations are. So if we are using the same person, then I think that Aaron's draft is consistent with what Wausau has. And then also, as long as, again, the issues related to, we're not counting it as a building and we're not issuing building permits for it, and it's not an accessory use building, well, then those issues go away. It seems like we're just talking about it as if it's a dog kennel in the backyard. And so our zoning, right, no one here is advocating that it be under our building. So the only issue I would raise is that some of our definitions that are in our general definitions in the ordinances, some of this kind of isn't consistent with what our current definitions are. Whether we would want to go back and try and accept out just for the chicken coops, or we just leave it in place. But there are some definitions that it certainly leaves open the question as to whether or not these structures would be included or not.
Mark, would you be willing to, in any of those, would you be willing to share those with Jennifer or Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to.
Yeah, we can always, as you guys know, the ordinances can change as we go along and kind of get used to this, and we can take a look at the definition section a little bit more carefully and make any changes that need to be done. But if you guys are okay with what we have, we can, count this as a start. It does already designate, it has lots of designees, so it can be the zoning administrator, a designee, or the humane officer, so for violations already. So I think between all of us,
I think we should designate the humane officer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll most likely get the complaints.
That's something
as
that
we
Board of
get
Trustees is
complaints
gonna address, and that's not on our table right now.
We make the recommendation to the board.
Well,
Yeah,
I'll
it's in the ordinance.
propose changes to before the Board of Trustees for approval, as proposed, and if they would add that, maybe to add the humane officer to monitor and inspect and take care of that.
What I think we'll do too, because Ashley, I don't think saw this, we'll share it with her. And if there's any suggestions that she has, we can get those in there for the board meeting.
So we have
I'll second on behalf of the Plan Commission.
we have a motion by Gerndt, second by Jordan on the question.
Yes, I just wanted to mention and talk about, so we had 869 people, which, I don't know, Jennifer, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's probably the highest feedback you've gotten on one of these surveys.
There may have been more on the ATVs.
Yeah, they were neck and neck for.
The highest one I've seen presented to the planning commission.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
So that's, using 16,000 as a population, that's 19% of the village, right? So on, let's see. Some of these things, so when you factor out the people that didn't answer that question, the response was over 50% of this was a concern for me, or are you interested in having them, or whichever. Number of chickens was a concern. I think we're addressing that, right? Hens only, we're addressing that. Coop location. Addressed, noise. Is, I think, addressed by having a main officer involved in whichever, and then odor, I think also would be addressed, right?
It says specifically order standard.
I just wanted to make that point that we had a fairly high participation from residents, which I think is great. And I feel like what we have drafted here incorporates those strong concerns by an overwhelming majority of those folks, that what we're doing here isn't just something that Aaron drafted, right? You looked at this stuff and peeled it all together, so thank you, good job.
Okay,
That's it.
anything further on the discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion passes 4-1.
As far as the extraterritorial zoning committee, is there a motion to recommend having chickens in the ETZ area?
I'll make a similar motion that was made by the PC.
Second,
One second.
motion made by Mark, second by Gary to approve the same motion as the planning commission just did. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No, aye.
Motion carried.
All right, so I guess at this point, this will be forwarded to the board for next week. There might be a couple changes. I don't know if Jen, if you just want to follow up with Ryan.
Thank you.
But thank you very much. Good job on your speaking. That takes a lot of guts to get up and do that, so I'd like to commend you for that.
I know you, Dad did a good job of it because he came all the way up to the front. Well, it's really-
Thank you.
The motion to adjourn the ETZ committee.
So move.
Second.
Motion made and second to adjourn the extraterritorial zoning committee. Hey, just all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? ETZ is adjourned. Thank
I
you.
like that you put that on there as a bullet mark.
Yeah, I figured they didn't want to stay any longer.
Yeah, take care of them.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Good night, guys.
All right, item number 10, project number 2023-0244, Jeremy Zahn, 3020 Nick Avenue, Mosinee, Wisconsin, 54455, requesting a conditional use permit at 3020 Nick Ave to exceed the allowed amount of accessory structure floor area in the AR Agriculture and Residential Zoning District at 3020 Nick Avenue, pin number 192-2808-333-0985. I'll open the public hearing. Presentation by applicant and or staff.
So this one's pretty straightforward. Zone AR, I just have 20 acres, so with that, he is allowed 2,500 square feet of accessory structure floor area. But he already has a garage that I believe is like 1,500, so this new proposed garage would exceed that. It's not for agricultural use, it's for personal storage strictly. Hence why he needs a conditional use to exceed that 2,500 square feet. With it being over 2,000 square feet, it has to meet setbacks applicable to a principal structure, which the only one that really plays any factor here is the side yard, which is 20 feet, which is what is proposed. I've attached everything that was submitted along with supplemental questions and the performance standards and how they are met. I'm not sure if Jeremy is here. He is, okay. If you have any questions for him or for me.
Jeremy, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I made it pretty clear with everything you turned in, just so there would be no gray areas,
Okay.
so.
I can't believe you don't have enough garage space.
He's actually a chicken coop.
Yeah.
How many chickens can you fit in here?
4. 5. You can get 5.
Moving right along.
All right, anything further from staff? All right, public comment period. Is there anybody online or in the audience that wishes to make a comment on this? Second time, anybody online or in the audience that wishes to make a comment? Third time, anybody online or in the audience that wishes to make a comment? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. Staff recommends approval, I assume.
There's a draft conditional use permit in the packet starting on page 88. 87?
88,
And you do have a determination form.
Jeremy, is this just being used for personal storage? You're not conducting business or anything on there? Okay, just making sure.
Yep.
All right, you guys ready?
Yep.
Is the proposed conditional use consistent with the comprehensive plan, this chapter, and all other plans, programs, and ordinances adopted by the village?
Yes.
Yes. The proposed conditional use and its proposed location and as depicted on the required site plan will not result in a substantial or undue adverse impact on nearby property, character of the neighborhood, environmental factors, traffic factors, parking, public improvements, public property, or rights of way, or other matters affecting the public health, safety, or general welfare, either as they now exist or as they may in the future be developed as a result of the implementation of the provisions of this chapter, the comprehensive plan, or all other plans, programs, and ordinances adopted by the village.
Yes.
Does the proposed conditional use maintain the desired consistency of land uses, land use intensities, and land use impacts as related to the environs of the subject property?
Yes.
Yes. Is the proposed conditional use located in an area that will be adequately served by and will not impose an undue burden on any of the improvements, facilities, utilities, or services provided by public agencies serving the subject property?
Yes.
Yes.
Do the potential public benefits of the proposed conditional use outweigh potential adverse impacts of the proposed conditional use after taking into consideration the applicant's proposal and any requirements recommended by the applicant to ameliorate such impacts?
Yes.
Yes. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Gerndt, second by Deason. On the question? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So carried. Thank you. That was quick and painless, huh? All right, item number 11, project number 2023-0129, Bruce Scott, 7902 Alderson Street, Schofield, requesting a conditional use permit for the use of outdoor storage and light industrial on a 1.01 acre property located at 6406 Schofield Avenue, Weston, pin number 192-2808-153-0946. I'll open the public hearing and presentation by the applicant and or staff.
So this site is located between the nursery and auto select on Schofield Ave. Last year, the structure that was there was lost due to a fire. It's a little more complicated as it's a non-conforming lot. And now the proposed development goes outside of what was previously there, as you can see there. And the way the lot sits currently, it doesn't meet certain performance standards such as hard surface setbacks and green space requirements. And as proposed, it also does not meet those requirements of the B3 zoning district. But there is that kicker in the non-conforming sites, which we kind of already discussed earlier with the code change. It's highlighted in the RFC there, that section. And there is some missing plans. There's no landscaping plan. There's no lighting plan. So there's missing information here. So as is, staff can't necessarily approve it, but after talking with the owner, Bruce Gus, we felt as if it would be best. He's more or less looking for advice and recommendations on what to do here, since this is kind of a unordinary lot, and it's got some aspects to it that we don't normally see, so we're having a tough time moving forward with it on what he should do. So like I said, I attached everything that we received along with a list of, I believe it's down to 9 items that are missing or incomplete at the moment. That list has gone down lately. It was more than that. But yeah, he's really more or less just looking for some guidance here for, and then at a future meeting, we can take it for the conditional approval, which it will need for the 2 uses that are there, which is outdoor storage in the rear, which isn't necessarily changing, and then the light industrial use for the contractor shop. Yeah, any questions, feel free to go my way. I'll try my best here, as there's a lot to this one, and as far as the non-conforming status goes and what's there and what isn't there.
So can you highlight what makes it non-conforming?
So it's going to be a non-conforming, the building, when it burned down, he's allowed to rebuild in the same footprint. But since he's going outside of that, he kind of loses that non-conforming status there. So we'd have to look at it as a vacant lot. So it'd have to meet hard surface setbacks, the 20% green space requirement, which it's not going to right now. It's about 6, I don't know if you can tell there, but that in front of the building there, that white space, that's the only green space on the entire lot, which is about 6%, a little less than that. Yeah, I mean, there's some more, there's a previous or existing conditions, but it's not really, it's just dirt essentially, and there's not grass there. And then the hard surface setback, which I don't know if you can see to the north there, but it's pavement to the lot lines, so that makes it non-conforming, but he is in the process of having these easements recorded with the register of deeds, and they might have, were they at this point?
I got them both signed and everything.
Okay.
But my attorney just needed to make a cover sheet.
Gotcha.
Actually paid down there.
So that will help us in allowing that setback to not be met.
I would like a clarification. I don't know, Joe, if you meant, what was non-conforming, what was prior?
Yeah.
What was non-conforming prior, not this, prior?
Prior would be landscaping, green space.
Landscaping to your standards currently?
Correct.
But, so how do we take somebody that's got an existing building in there? And so.
He
we-
loses,
But he's
so-
changing, he's going
He
outside of
loses
the.
that not- So if he just built in the footprint, he wouldn't have to do on.
I understand it. So here's what I'll.
That's
here's what-
just like standard non-conforming law.
Yeah.
So that's why we're bringing it in front of you.
I understand, I do understand that. All I'll say is, the building that was there wasn't the prettiest building.
I know, but
So
there's,
just hear me out. Here's all I'm gonna say. Now we've got a gentleman that's gonna be willing to put a building up that's more tax base. He's gonna concrete his entire parking lot. He's gonna shield the stuff. And it's
well, not
gonna,
necessarily shielding, so that's the other thing,
well, am I seeing fence right here?
It's on the one side.
just on the one side. So, I mean, normally, and you have to think of this, it's on Schofield Avenue, so in somewhat, the uses would probably be changing. So you probably wouldn't have a use like this at the time. That would be the best case scenario. I realize he has to rebuild here. He has a better building, so that's why we're bringing it in front of you.
Yep.
But we also have to be able to, I guess, basically try to fit it into the code as best as we can. He's not gonna upgrade the whole site, but there's things that other people would be required to do with the storage yard, things like that, green space requirements. When we talked to him about the cross access easements, because he needs to have that for his protection. And I didn't even want to bring it forward until we had those. Just because that would be the only reason we would allow for the 0 lot line there on the pavement.
There's difficulty with the way the setup is there. I completely understand and respect the fact that you guys have brought that up, because it's protection for Bruce as well. And his neighbors.
I just, given the situation where, like Gary was saying, he's trying to, rebuild in a site that is a difficult situation, whether before or now, because of some of our rules and regulations. I wouldn't be hung up on the landscaping and that type of thing.
And that's where I struggle, and I'm just gonna throw that out there, is because I look at that and I go, he's got a building sitting on the property that's sitting there right now, literally sitting there for months, that he's paying for, that he can't put up. And granted, he might have bit the bullet and ordered the building, but you got a guy that's in construction right now that's trying to run out of sea containers. We need to get his building back up for him, one way or another. If it's gonna be the existing building with a footprint, Bruce can put it back up and put ugly siding on it, just like it was. And then we get to stare at that, and it's still not conforming. Right? And we don't have any asphalt. We have dirt out to the road. We can do that because he's willing to do that. But I don't think we wanna do that.
No, the visibility from Schofield Avenue, looking into the back of the yard. The good news is that his storage yard is gonna be, for the most part, blocked by.
Which, that's where, like I said, no one asked me to put those sea containers out by the road. To block public seeing the burned building all winter long, you know, until I tore the building down, you know.
Bruce,
places
you
I
might, Bruce, you might wanna say your name and address and stuff, just for the record.
Bruce Gus, 6911.
You look a lot better up in front here. Let's break the ice, right?
Bruce Gus, 7902. 5476. Places, no one asked me to put those sea containers out there to block any view. It's like, I'm respectable of basically what the community sees. And it's like, me to put a fence up and block off the safety of the community, me pulling in, you know, all hours of the day in a convoy. If that gate is closed, all of a sudden, one guy might think that the gate is open and basically then we're blocking a main road. You know, it's like to put a gate on the one side, yeah. You know, as far as the people for the greenhouse, me and them, you know, we work together basically as well as Auto Select, you know, in which.
Bruce, can you give us a reference when you say the gate? You're worried about like when you bring your semis and your bigger equipment in. Tell me what you mean by you would be out in the roadway.
Well, you know, say if there's a couple vehicles that are coming in with us, you know, and it's like, say I do that when the nursery's open during the day, you know, and those people are trying to pull in and out.
Okay.
You know,
It's a difficult.
you know, like it says, that building that, yeah, is gonna screen a lot more than what was there for years.
Is there trees along there between you and the nursery?
So I think it's just.
Just a fence.
Maybe a couple.
See-through fence.
And there's nothing on the west side, right? It's just,
No, it's basically wide open.
supposed to grass,
The back of Auto Select's property there.
You know, so, yeah, using the, you know, the sea containers as a fence and everything in the backyard and everything, and, you know, closing in that area as far as, you know, a fence and everything, you know, there isn't a screening along the nursery side on their, you know, their fence or anything.
You're proposing a fence on the east side there, right? Top of the
No,
picture.
just basically just across the,
There's a
just a
gate
gate
there.
right there.
Okay.
Does the nursery have a fence that runs
They
along
have
that
a,
end?
basically just a 8-foot high deer fence or whatnot, you know, it's not no screen, so it's like, you know, the general public's been looking at that for, you know,
Mhm.
that backyard for years, you know, even before I owned it, you know, and if I had pictures of what it looked like before, you know.
I can respect your frustration, Bruce. And I also can respect that they're trying to figure out how to fit this within the code. And I think all I was, you know, with talking with you, I think you had some people that said, take the planning commission, right? I think Just, you,
It's just a tough situation.
It is.
It's just, it's non-conforming, it's been non-conforming, it's gonna be non-conforming, and I think we just have to, in my opinion, we just have to have you sit down with the staff and try to massage this out as best we can.
Well, it's massaged the best we can get it, so now
Okay,
it's
I'm-
your massaging.
I'm not.
That's why it's here.
Jen's laying it out on the line.
I'm
She
not hung
is.
up on,
Right, and that's really what it is, because in non-conforming status, the whole thing is a lot of times things get turned into that and uses because the community wants it to be something else.
Yeah.
So that would be the hard nose end, would be, nope, you have to go inside that. We realize we don't want somebody to put up junk. He kind of is being forced to go back into this site because of, I believe, insurance purposes. He has to go there instead of finding something maybe that would be more appropriate in a different part of the village. So that's kind of where we're at. This is what we have. We don't have a lot of green space. We don't have, you know, he's got a yard in the back that's gravel that he's planning not to do anything different with. So that was some of this, the area of him kind of bringing up to conforming, the percentage wise, is that front, and what do you guys want to see along there?
So I think your building is very attractive.
Yeah, it's a
You know,
nice looking building.
O's, I think it's great. I don't care if it's in the same footprint or not. I'd rather see that building than what we have, right?
Right.
I think the 11 of us, or however many to include you, should be able to work together here to compromise to find, are you okay with screening that back so we can't see it? Right, I think if you have a shielded fence just on those two short sides, whether it's with a gate, probably, so you can get equipment in there. If you got a short fence there, a short fence there,
Which basically, a person driving by laces at however fat, laces on the auto select side, laces. It's a short window, basically it's, for me to put
Building's
a,
pretty close.
Yeah, it may look hard. How, what is that dimension on
auto
that?
select buildings right at that top.
You'd have to bring up an aerial.
Can you screen it along over the concrete there and then turn the fence and run it back to your containers?
Yeah, because that's what the site looks like or did before the fire.
right, but you're looking to move your building farther, closer to the road, right?
Yeah, so basically technically the concrete is gonna end at the backside of that existing building.
The backside of, the back of your concrete.
And the new building would go through the middle of that one.
Are you opposed to putting some screening between you and Auto Select? I don't think you're gonna see anything from the nursery because they got a bunch of trees and they got, whatever, but
Well, I think Auto Select drives around it. That's
they
that's
do.
pretty
They-
close.
That's the,
So Auto Select is the black.
that's the problem that even with the
It's a
nursery,
really
they utilize it as
setup.
well. They wanted to,
Places in which,
Yeah, the one that
which
says
was
you
your
don't
use.
vote of the Auto
Like it
Select.
says,
so they drive through your lot in the back.
and exact same with, the nursery people, like it says, like. They would usually loop around like their semis, obviously, their semis, like it says, I'm just gonna basically, it's gonna be just a metal detector in the ground and everything, it's just gonna open as soon as you pull up to it, So. But like it says, yeah, you can actually see the vehicles along that fence line, those are actually, the nursery employees parking there, up closer where the houses are. Those are the employees of the greenhouses parking in there, like I said, we all kind of share, basically that.
we
space.
work with each other.
Yeah.
It's tight lots, so if you're over on each other's lot, turning around or doing something, you do it. Everybody's fine with it.
So on your end, for it to get approved, you need to see the cross easements, right?
Yeah, which
Well, they're not done yet.
they're
though.
not done yet.
You just got a cover letter, he's got.
Yeah, I just got to have a court place, I got to sign notarized documents and everything from both sides, so.
Okay, so that's in the works, that'll be done.
Yeah, all the attorney he has to do is make the cover sheet for him to hand into the register of deeds.
And I think you're probably waiting a little, Bruce, to figure out what's gonna happen here before you do all kinds of things. I respect that. I
And
understand
which,
that.
like I says, things aren't gonna change as far as me letting them pass through there anyways.
Yeah.
You know, like
Exactly.
I says, that's, you know, that's just how basically neighborly, you know,
Being good
basically,
neighbors.
you know, like I says, all winter long, I plow, you know, the nursery to basically, in case there's an incident in the middle of winter, you know, I plow the snow across there because no one else is there during the winter time, you know.
Well, I don't, I didn't realize how much sharing was going on between auto select and you, so I don't know if screening that is really.
I think no matter what, if you're concerned with seeing the back of his yard, you get more of it before you get to auto select. You see the majority of what's in the back.
And like I says, and that's where the screen fence on the nursery side, if people are stopped at Teagan Road, you know, and looking straight back in there. You know, that's a stopping, you know, point. The other side, traffic's moving, you know.
I was just saying, I think we have more of a concern. I would rather have you get past your building with the semis and the vehicles. And you would hinder auto select's connection. What I'm saying is you see more of when you're heading east, you see more if you're gonna look back behind auto select's building. And you're kind of hitting that with some of these sea containers, but you also don't wanna, you still need a drive access to get in and out of there in order to drive around each other's buildings. I understand that. I see that. I think the other thing is, these sea containers, I think we've talked about that. And I mean, with business and storage, did we ever go back to that, Jen? We never have. I don't think anybody on the committee here has got a problem with businesses that need to do it just as long as they're presentable. And I think yours aren't all painted up ugly and, you know, you're taking care of them, but what are you storing?
They're all brand new containers, they're only a year old, you know.
So, and what are you storing on them, Bruce?
What's that?
What are you storing on them?
Well, basically,
Business.
inventory, you know, like it says, I build mini storages all over the country, you know. I got parts, pieces, you know, stored in there.
Can you get a landscaping plan to us for that for the 6% that you have? Okay.
And you
And
would,
I have the lighting plan, Edco has gotten that.
you would pave the front,
That would be all concrete.
so it'd be all concrete from the back of the building to the
Yeah,
road.
basically from 30 feet
Everything
from the
that's
behind
stucco.
the backside, that only to the road.
So that 30 foot,
And it's not currently.
Right.
there's nothing, it's all gravel. So
It's
that's a,
blacktop driveways coming in, you know, and gravel.
so Bruce, that, where the 30-foot setback, where the mark is on 30 feet, where it's just white, what is that?
That's concrete there.
There, okay.
Yep, that's concrete.
So no, I'm talking about in the front. Right.
Oh, that's.
That would be green
That's
space.
the
And
landscape.
that's your green space.
So you could put some landscaping there, right? Not just grass, you could put some bushes or a trees or something.
Oh. That's gonna block,
Well-
who's trying to get in or out.
And that's where, like it says, that's where I had said to Aaron, you know, about, there's a bush right in front of this, like those containers right now. And it's like, you looking.
It's not a
if you
good, it's
go
not a
on
good
that-
spot
on
getting in
that,
and out.
West side of the building, you look,
That needs to be grass, period, the end, for visibility, getting in and out from a safety.
There's an issue on that road right there for
yeah,
getting it.
it's a hard curve to basically see around when you're pulling, like, most of my guys won't pull out of that east end driveway just because there's just not enough time for them to pull out with a semi.
No, there's
You
not,
know.
no, because the car's coming around that short little curve right there.
Yeah, and they're going, you know, 50, you know, whatever.
Well, it's not,
Wherever they
not
are.
what the speed limit is.
Yeah,
We all know that.
so. Yeah, we usually just come in that driveway, you know, and that's where, like it says, it's. Granted, there's enough room for us to pull in with a semi, you know. Up to the gate and everything for it to open, you know, and basically stay off the road and everything, but.
You can state your opinion on what you want to do there. He would rather pour stamped green concrete. than-
Well, yeah, basically it's, yeah.
I'm just being honest. He would, because he's like, who's gonna maintain it? Who's gonna water it? Who's gonna, I'm not around to mow it, or what's it gonna look like, brown?
I would not be
Like,
opposed
if
if
it
you
needed
made,
to be a rock
you
bed.
had a stamped green concrete with a rock bed, or just
Well,
made
like I
some
said, I would do
landscaping, yeah.
exposed aggregate, and, you know, make it look like stone or whatnot in a bed area.
So you don't have to maintain it, pull weeds,
Yeah.
whatever.
Sure.
Just make it look good, make it doesn't have to be a live landscaping, but don't make it look like asphalt or concrete.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's like,
Gary, you could put turf there.
my brother just pulled some out of the dumpster at Wausau West.
We're right on top of
The same turf we have on all of our islands out here.
Mhm.
Looks great.
Different colors. Just kidding.
I wouldn't be opposed if your green space wasn't physically live, right? Your white space there. You want green stamped concrete, but it's not like the cheesy green like they have in the roundabouts in Green Bay, like not that.
Well, Bruce, you were maybe gonna do like an exposed
Yeah,
aggregate.
exposed aggregate, you know, or laces, or laces, I do all stamped concrete laces, I can stamp that whole, you know, make it look like larger papers or whatnot, you know.
But it's not gonna be green.
Well, laces.
I mean, if it's gonna be exposed aggregate, you wanna use the aggregate colors.
Yeah, then it would just look like your rock bed, you know.
Well, in the spirit of moving this along, I think we've given him enough. Cause you know, you have to get the easements, right? The cross easements, and then lighting plan. Work with Jen on getting the landscaping plan, whatever you're gonna do there.
Well,
And that should be it.
I don't know why we have to wait to come back to another month's meeting. I think if we agree with what he needs, he gets it to staff, he needs to get in his building. He needs to get moving. That's my opinion. He don't need to wait till November to come back here from what I'm reading.
Or is there something we're missing?
So number 6, need updated building elevation showing, I mean, looking at the elevations, what's missing there, Jen?
Well, they wanted a colored rendering, I think.
Typically we get colors and usually on each side,
I usually
they'll
just
call
mark
out
it out.
each material percentage to make sure that
Does it matter?
it really meets standards, yes. Otherwise, it's hard for me to
So
calculate.
red rock is bad, gray rock is good.
It's just nice to have colors.
You can provide colors, yeah.
Well, he had a price for it was $1,500 or $2,000 to have somebody do it.
Oh, no, not a colored rendering. I just mean,
Well, that's what they want.
Just mark it.
I
Is
think,
market as far as colors, or?
Could mark it up. I don't know. I mean, it's just, I mean, this stuff is standard that these guys should know. I mean, these guys work on these projects for us, so some of it is not his fault at all. It's the whoever did this. So I'm guessing it was Nick.
Well, but no, I believe he's directed these guys not to spend that kind of money either. I
Well, they
believe that.
know what
Bruce,
the plan
you have to,
Well, yeah, urban, like it says, drew the plans, you know.
Yeah, but they know what we're gonna ask, so they could have put that on there right away because they know what color it is. So if he wants to provide just something that shows it, that's fine. They do that sometimes too.
Sure, that would be.
It should just be something
Yeah,
because
label
everybody
what-
else has to do that.
label what the material.
Yep, I agree. Urban, you know, all the years that I've worked with Urban, they can certainly specify the material and the basic color.
Just helpful for
Right.
us.
Yep.
in here, because it shows it's on these other sheets. It says it's a construction drawing, doesn't it?
Bruce, are you hoping to pour the slab yet and get this going this winter?
Yeah, this
Yeah,
year,
okay.
it's kind of open, you know, laces, basically, get the frost walls and laces, obviously, I was planning on basically having all the parking lot area done before the building actually was standing, you know, because then I don't have to worry about mud tracking it onto the road, basically while we're building the building, it's just better, safer for my employees, we can get a building done faster if it's just hard surface all the way around, you know, rather than dealing with gravel and dirt piles.
Bruce, can you quickly walk us through your colors here? Just
So
to,
basically, the split face side block along the side of the building is gonna be black. I was figuring that was gonna be a white, kind of like brownish, basically like rock on the front. And then basically, the LP Smart sign on the front was gonna basically be a two-tone gray color to complement the sidewall side panels, because those are gray. And then all the trim in that is black. And then the split face would be black. And like the
And the-
back
and-
overhead doors would be black.
Yeah, and the color of the building? Of the-
So it's like a gray color. And then like I said, the smart siding would basically be whatever two-tone, I forget what the actual name of it is, you know.
And I think that's what you're asking for, Jen. I think I had to do the same thing on our plan. We just had to identify the numbers and they just put a little color chip on the side of the thing that just showed a little color sample of it. You don't have to do the whole color rendering, but if you label with an arrow, this is this material, and then a little color, they put a color chip on it. I think that's all they're asking. And I guess, what else do we have on the list?
Vents and mechanical units.
Those are, like it says, those would be all inside.
Main things I saw on there were the cross easements, the lighting and the landscaping. That's what I saw in Jen's notes. Unless there's something I'm missing. You said something about the colors, but it sounds like we can get that hammered out.
You said vents and mechanical are inside?
What's that?
Vents and mechanical are inside?
Well, like it says, there's not.
AC
any-
condenser, where's that live?
That would basically be on the
Rooftop?
outside, probably of the building, you know.
Like a rooftop unit or like behind the building?
I guess like it says, I could do it on that 24-foot parapet wall, you know. So I guess as long as I'm clear, like it says, as far as that front landscape area. Possibly just smaller shrubs rather than a tree that would basically block any viewing area.
Like an 18-inch barberry. Right? A flower pot.
Do you wanna do that, or are you gonna do exposed aggregate?
Like it says, I would, obviously, like it says, I would rather just concrete, you know, of some sort, you know, basically in green and laces, and if they want to see samples, laces, I can, with the extra spare concrete that I get from throughout the floors, I can.
Can you make the concrete look like grass, please?
How do you deal with stormwater, Michael? Is it the whole site?
What's that?
Yeah,
Serving
so,
less than an eighth or
I mean, so it's,
No, it's stormwater bill.
Oh, yeah, the whole site. It's all impervious.
yeah, I guess whatever's impervious would end up, as they update their drainage plan would show how much impervious area they have on the site.
Is it the same, would it be the same as it was
No.
A little more, it's like 43,000 square feet right now.
Yeah, if they take out, I think there was a little more green space before, so if it
Yeah.
ends up being completely,
What was green on there before?
Can you go back to the satellite view?
yeah.
There's like a little bit of grass and a tree.
There was a weird thing in the
on
front.
fringes.
I think some of this stuff here.
Yeah.
see,
Oh,
So how, is that something that goes through us, or does it have to go to the DNR, or?
Well, so as far, so there's two things. So there's our stormwater utility that,
Is it though? I'm just asking, cause it says it's 1.01.
We're
yeah,
disturbing
so
it.
that's based on disturbed area. So if he's only touching the concrete slab and into Schofield Ave, he'll be under an acre of disturbance, so that doesn't require a DNR stormwater management plan. But from, I guess, our stormwater utility standpoint, it would change, I guess, the impervious area of the site, so. But that's,
because of that, where the topsoil area was.
yes, because there'd be some pervious area removed.
Sure. And you're fine with that, Bruce, if you're gonna do concrete, that impervious, that was grass, that would absorb. Now it's taken away, so now you're gonna get more square footage on your stormwater permit, or your stormwater bill that you get for every whatever it comes.
And then, yeah, I guess just a drainage plan showing how you are moving that. I think I saw some on there. I don't think there's any new storm sewer proposed. There'll just be sheet flowing everything off the site. Okay,
Is that okay, Mike?
that's fine, yeah.
Let's go for that.
Yeah, I mean, it'll split a little bit.
Does it slope in each way? So that slopes towards the north. Towards the what? Towards the north. Go to the back then.
Yeah. Backside of
Yeah, I mean, from about the building, it splits, it looks like from the
building forward, it'll go to Schofield Ave, and behind the building will go north, so. If that's how it was historically, I guess that you're just kind of keeping the same.
Bruce, are you doing anything with these? With the dumpsters?
They're showing that basically that they're gonna be behind on that, east side of the property.
I know, I'm just asking you because the code is, you have to have a
Three-sided enclosure.
three-sided enclosure.
Well, they're behind a fence,
What fence?
That
a
gate,
gate,
Okay,
it's privacy slat, so I'm guessing that's why, I mean, for the most part, you won't see it except for next door.
sure.
What, well,
What about parking? Does it meet your parking standards? For those do you actually have others park on this? Does
basically,
Select Park here and the greenhouse parks
places
here?
I- you know, basically a handful of employees, you know, so I guess isn't, some of them have company trucks that I guess they'd be parked in the backyard anyways.
You show what, 3, 4 spots here?
You really don't have much.
I see. six.
You really don't have traffic coming in, I think that's just design.
Some on the side.
Four spots are
Yeah. It's not like I'm-
It's the 6 or the 3 to the 3 to the west.
There's 3. on the
Yeah,
side of
those
the
are
building.
leased to the neighbor. 3 on the east are leased to that neighbor,
okay.
and 3 on the west are leased to that neighbor. But they're fine. I have no issue with that.
Yeah, it's showing that there's 11 parking spaces.
Do you have any need for a bicycle rack? No?
I think he needs like 7 of them here.
Yeah.
So. I would ask for a waiver on the inverted U. Or double U, if we're doing that. No bike rack required for this particular use. I think it'd look really good if you put some planters out there or whichever in there that comes out, you can make it look really nice. And still have that hard surface. Have green that's not really green. Big planters by yours.
What do you propose? What do you guys, would you rather see? Would you rather see exposed aggregate or do you want green concrete?
I don't really care, whatever you want. Whatever you want.
I think we should leave it up to him what he wants to do.
I think you could probably use your own judgment and make it look really good. 'Cause
I would
you do
not
this for a
do
living.
Thank you. I was hoping you would say exposed.
Unless you do like
aggregate.
that fancy, like that shiny green with the texture on and whichever, that's good, but not the cheesy stuff they put around.
Just do a rock bed.
So that is a port, I mean, Joe has that at his site. There's other ways to meet green space requirements that doesn't involve, I mean, you could do beds and things like that, boulders count. Well, there's ways to do it.
Yeah.
Put some boulders up so nobody drives into your building.
Yeah.
Your boarding.
Okay. I'm gonna move this along, so.
Well, so like I said, I think we can, well, number 2, ask him to supply a landscape plan laying out what his proposal would be to the staff, compliant with the feedback that she's gotten from us. So I think that it's important that he actually put together a plan. So the lighting plan and cut sheets certainly need to be done.
Then the cross access need to get addressed, or need to get finished.
Yeah, so number 4 will draw a line through.
I believe Jen still has to see the recording before she can give a permit, right, Jen?
Yes.
So Jen, correct me if I'm wrong, but since both uses are conditional, it has to be approved by them, correct? We can't.
Well, they're creating the conditional use permit right now.
Okay, based off of their request here. Okay. So they don't have to actually physically see those plans that they're requesting now.
They're deferring them to us.
Gotcha. Okay.
So they're saying what they need, what needs to be included in order for it to be approved.
Just the only reason why Aaron is so we can get moving.
Right, I get it. Yep, I just wanted to be clear with that.
So typically, it's just the use and the site plan is a part of it, so they can defer us to deal with some of the other things if they're okay with it that way.
So the outdoor, number 5, the outdoor storage area is not fully enclosed. And we're okay with using shipping containers as screening, assuming that they're respectable looking. And you're going to spec out for them the materials and the color that you're actually gonna use on the building. And and ask Urban to mark on your plan where you're gonna put your mechanicals that are outside the building. I think they can note that pretty easily. And what else are you looking for, Jennifer, on number 8, the need to answer use performance standards? Is that basically what we're reviewing here now?
Pretty much, yeah, so conditional uses, that's what I have people do, is just answer those for me, just to show that they're being met, but we pretty much are going through them.
Yeah, the lighting.
All right, does anybody have anything else for Bruce straight away? Otherwise, I'm gonna move this along. Okay,
So then I would make a,
I gotta get through public comments and everything, yeah, before you can do that.
sorry, go ahead.
Okay, public comments, anybody online or in the audience that wishes to make a comment? Second time, anybody online or in the audience that wishes to make a comment? Third time, anybody that wishes to make a comment? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Recommendation from staff was to defer to November, but I get the feeling we're not going in that direction. Discussion and action by the Plan Commission. Now you go.
Okay, so I move to allow a conditional use permit for 6406 Schofield Avenue based on the performance guidelines as we just dialogued. Allowing staff to make the final determination on Bruce's presentation of the items needed.
I'll second.
So motion by Jordan, second by Gerndt. On the question, does that give you enough to go off of?
Sure.
Yes. Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just make sure you work with her on getting those items so we can get you rolling.
Thanks.
Thank
All
you,
right.
guys.
It's done until she says it's done.
All right, if the Plan Commission thinks, I'm gonna bump 14 up so we can get these guys out of here because they've been patiently waiting for an hour and 45 minutes, if that's okay with you guys. So we're gonna jump ahead to item number 14, annexation request, recommendation to the board on an annexation request from Green Tree Companies requesting a 33.459 acre vacant parcel in the town of Weston located just west of 161270 Ross Avenue, be annexed to the village to allow for construction of a single family subdivision. PIN number 082-2808-104-0997. Subsection A, discussion and recommendation to the Board of Trustees by the Plan Commission on the annexation request.
Great, so this is probably the easiest way to annex in. It's a direct. They own now the 33, almost 33 and a half acre parcel that is adjacent to the Kathy subdivision. It's the Sandy Meadows first edition. It's kind of on there. So just so that you guys are aware of it. This is just a concept plat. I did put some things in there. We're still working out details on road names. I'm still waiting for one to come back. I never got a response from the county because they denied one. I think they wanted to change one of them. Perch, I think they wanted to change or something.
Crappy.
Oh, crappy. Yeah. And so we're waiting,
We were waiting all night. to say.
I'm out of here soon, guys.
I remember which one. It wasn't on here anymore. So this will come back before you. So basically the process is it's sitting right now at the DOA. They have to look at it to make sure it's continuous to the village. They will give an opinion by the 11th. This will go to the board and they will have to adopt basically an annexation ordinance. And then it will come back before you. You have 3 months to basically zone the property. So they're looking at a single family small lot subdivision. You'll go through that preliminary and final plat process whenever they're ready. So it's pretty standard. This has been an area that since I got here has been future growth area. Tappy actually left it, you know, when they were planning the North First Edition, they have those roads right now, Moose, I think it's stubbed in, but nobody kind of goes just to the field. It's not really used. There are people off of Muskie there, so. I think we have to change the spelling of Muskie too. I think that was wrong on there. That's always been an issue. They'll still have to work out drainage, stormwater, things like that. So there could be some lots that are affected that way depending on how that comes out.
There's some wetlands in there too, John.
Yeah.
It's like even in the road right away in 81, 82 and then 72 and some of the road.
It needs to be redelineated.
Oh, this is an old one, old map.
I believe that's what's on there now. Based on looking at aerials on Marathon County.
Yeah, they may have just done that with that. So we have to go through that whole process, but it's just on here to kind of get your initial thoughts on it. Michael gave some suggestions for future planning to the east and to the west. The subdivision to the west does not have sewer and water right now, so there could be a need to have an easement or a road off that side in order to extend sewer and water into there, kind of loop it. And then
Lot 9.
he was talking about the
Like by
top.
like 42 or 43.
Oh,
Like an
that
easement up
existing
there?
one.
The existing one.
Okay.
Oh yeah, similarly then too, also by
On
like,
the other side to extend it through.
yeah, either.
Yeah, and so
So
there is
east
a
or-
large property owned by, well, it used to all be owned by the Erdmans. The parents have passed away and now the Waldners own it. So there is some future expansion that could happen. It may not be for a long time, but we like to plan for that just
Yeah,
in
but if-
case.
If my neighborhood was any indication as to why we should do things correctly.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
we're
we need
asking
to make sure
for,
that we do
yeah,
this correctly.
right. So we're suggesting that too as it goes forward. So those were just some thoughts of our initial thoughts on the concept plan. I don't know if anyone has anything.
I think the items 1 and 2, we definitely need to make sure we have our ducks in a row with those easements. Just because I don't want to end up in a Dominica situation again. Granted, that wasn't because the easement wasn't there, but we get where I'm going with that.
Well, right now it's basically we're just annexing, right?
Yeah, so basically, when it comes down to it, the village does not have to accept an annexation, but I don't see any reason why we would. So,
It's up to the
I
developer.
mean, the lot sizes could, lots of stuff could change. It's
well,
just,
you're gonna have to zone it, like it right now, it's an ag in the town, so it'll come in that way and then be rezoned. So we would bring forth a rezone request next month to put it into the small lot so that they can proceed with the plat.
what is the size of those tiny lots?
We don't even know yet, so, I mean, it's just a concept, so they'll come back with preliminary and then we'll check all lot sizes for that. They might have an idea of what they're thinking, but
Right.
What's the smallest lot on the concept?
It's gonna be.
I move to approve proceeding with mailing the letter.
One second.
Motion by Pincinel, second by Gurnt. On the question,
Where was that? Mailing the letter.
I don't know, page
Right
one
on the
twelve.
bottom, recommended language for official action.
I don't know. It shouldn't say mailing the letter.
what should it say?
Oh,
Or is there supposed to be-
recommend approval to the board. Gosh. Well, that must have been a long week.
You wanna withdraw your motion?
Usually he catches that kind of stuff and tells me ahead of time.
I don't know why you wanted to mail a letter, but
I can mail a letter
you don't always see eye to eye. But the one time, I wanna read it exactly as you had it. Motion to withdraw my motion.
Second.
A motion to withdraw by Pincinel, second by Gurnt on the question. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, so carried. Okay, now back to your motion.
You just wait now, cause I'm gonna wait till Valerie gets in here.
Uh-oh. She missed all this action.
She missed all the excitement. Here, I thought it was gonna be really easy. We could just take it right out of here. Now we're gonna have to reinvent the wheel.
Well, I think you should just make the motion and we can.
I'll make a motion that we accept the proposal to annex.
Motion by Deason,
Second.
second by Gurnt. On the question. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so carried. You missed all the fun, Valerie.
She'll have fun listening to it tomorrow.
It's recorded, you're good. You get a shot.
Thank you. You guys looking to spring or what are you thinking?
As soon as we can.
As soon as you can?
Yeah. No, so that's what, we're just waiting for the annexation, because we don't know the lot size and stuff yet, but we're open as soon as we can.
Okay,
Good luck.
good luck.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing you guys back. All right, back to item number 12. Fee schedule recommendation, backyard chicken license and renewal. Here we go again.
This should be easy.
Well, there wasn't a clucking thing in the packet, so, yeah.
Didn't you put it in the main part?
Yeah, well, there's a point in.
Sounds like it's a
my packet, but
$35
it was
permit.
More or less just a discussion on what you guys thought would be an appropriate fee for. You know, if the first time wants to be more expensive, if the renewal a little less, or do like Wausau where it's just $35 each year, you know, even though the first year.
I think the fee also has to incorporate, are we using the same first data or first pet that we use for cats and dogs, parakeets?
No, this will go through Evolve.
Wausau's license fee.
35 is what she said.
That's what I said, 35. It's pretty simple.
We have to put something in the fee schedule for
It'll go to the.
citations or anything
It'll
like
go to
that.
the board.
Or
No,
enforcement?
the citation thing is a totally different,
You want,
it's through the police
you
department.
want the first time to be a little more because they've got to inspect the structure and all this other stuff.
Well, I guess I don't have a problem if Ashley's doing it and my guys aren't. Then, I mean, when we were talking about it earlier, if I was gonna send them out, I was going to make it at least be what they would be going out to look at a shed or something like that would be on the first one and then cheaper on the second. But if she's dealing with it,
Yeah, she's already got.
don't
the
have
cost-
anything to do with it, then
costs built in already.
I mean, it's just basically covering costs for. The license will come through here yet, we'll get them, but it'll go through the clerk's office and they'll handle them.
I mean, I'm just thinking, you know, you can't get anybody to come and look at something for $35.
No, but her fees are already.
I know,
Yeah,
but,
I know what you're saying.
you know.
I don't know what you think would be a good.
What are you
Well, it just-
proposing?
It just seems like 35 it's not even covering the
Our
cost.
standard, what is a shed?
$30 for 150 square feet or less. Includes inspection,
How much?
$30.
Yeah, well. You go much higher.
I mean, I don't-
Here's, I can't remember where we had this, I think we had this discussion at Safer, but something that got brought up is you can't just charge a fee because you feel like that's what you should charge. It has to be justified. So my thought process is if Wausau's fee is $35 and that's what we're paying her, that's what we should be charging. I don't know if we should be charging more than that.
I'm surprised the city lets them up against a house.
Well, it's not,
Safer
it's not a
never let us-
building. So
So they
they're
don't
not,
consider it?
yeah, so it doesn't meet the separation standards.
Okay, so I would figure
Which I-
Safer wouldn't let us do that. So
Well, I
that's
totally-
why he
well,
had the
Marty's
10.
here, I don't, What do you, got a problem with the, at least
Yeah,
10
see,
feet
he
for
always
the
says
chicken coop?
10 feet, so
For a doghouse?
for everything.
For a chicken coop, I would say.
Because they're pecking?
Doghouses, they don't.
It's all fire.
So you're saying 10 feet, but actually saying 0 feet.
She has 0, but we had 10 in our ordinance.
Why don't their fire department say something?
What's that?
I'm really putting you on the spot. Why don't their fire department say anything?
They probably don't know. They don't go to planning commission meetings, okay?
So you're the troublemaker.
You should invite them down here so they can come sit with you. Get educated.
What is Wasa's renewal?
The same.
I think they just charge
$35 a year?
They don't reduce it after the second year.
We have that USDA registration thing in there. You have to do that, right? That's
Well,
like
they're
state-
supposed to.
That's in
but
our code.
I don't know. if
That's in our
all-
code?
Yeah, it's
You put it in the
requirement, first time license.
That they take care of, like, that's separate. They just bring you the,
They just get a number that they'll
They'll
put
just get
on.
a registration or license number.
And we're gonna have to, I mean,
That's
both
probably. in
Mark
the
and I
application,
asked
Yeah,
the,
so Evolve will have a drop box there and it'll be required field to fill in is that number that they.
and they won't give them to us unless we like do a records request every year. For the whatever they have to do at the state level, because we asked.
All right, who's making the motion?
Oh, I'll make a motion to set the fee at $35 for the chicken license. Or whatever you want to call it.
Check. For initial and renewal?
Yes, for both, please.
I'll second that. So I have a motion by Gurnt, second by Cronin. On the question. Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
No,
Motion passes 4-1.
I didn't want the damn things at all.
How do you really feel about it?
You asked.
You're right, I did.
All right. Project number 20230129, site plan approval for 6406 Schofield Avenue, pin number 192-2808-153-0946. Is this in the packet?
You kind of
We
did that
did this.
already.
It's the same thing as this project.
Yeah,
again.
Oh.
the conditional use.
yeah, we moved it up.
Okay, no, that's okay. Why is it on here twice?
It's
One
not.
of the conditional
One's
ones.
in the conditional use, the other
So
is
we're
the
good, we don't
site.
need to do this. Moving on, staff reports. September 2023, staff approved certified survey maps and site plans, and September 2023 building permits.
Move to approve 15 and 16 concurrently.
Motion by Pincinel,
Second.
second by Deason. On the question. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed, so carried. Item number 17, acknowledge quarterly development agreements report.
I have a question on that. Do we have, is there any protocol for the follow-up on these? As far as,
Yeah, he's working on it. It's just that they don't always get back to us or,
but like, do we have an SOP of like, hey, after 3 months of the whichever, we call you or email, text, hazard pigeon, smoke signal, laser light show, anything? Or did, like, is there a certain time frame where we reach back out after the permit is pulled or the whichever? And maybe you're already doing this, I'm just asking for the same
he's
time.
working on the ones that we know of that are done. Cause usually they file for, they want occupancy, and so we kind of go off of there depending on when they ask for occupancy. So they go there, if they know that the site's done, then he'll do the site inspection, but typically they're not done. So right now, he's following up with the ones from last year.
So there is, like, there isn't one, right? It's just, we kind of just.
Right now, no.
doing it.
We had in the past, had a program that we basically were, prior to COVID, I think they were back. Then in 2019, they were doing 16, 17, and 18. They were sending letters because back then people would never tell us, so.
Sure.
Yeah. And then we kind of stopped that during COVID and now Travis is working on it again.
Quick question, can I interrupt on that?
Yeah.
How's Bryan Street Storage doing?
They're great.
They're
We got slabs in the ground. I gotta go out there tomorrow.
Everything's good with the neighbors? That's not going good?
It's an active construction site. I think everybody.
Well,
needs
I
to-
mean, just the fencing situation that they were.
The fence
concerned.
is up,
So they're, that, they
on the
should be
back
happy about
part.
that, right?
but they're not.
No. No,
They should be, yeah.
they should be, but they're not. Well, they were hoping it was gonna go further down the line. Well, the fence.
It's not built as per spec.
No, it is.
It is. So,
We just got the email today. We're not
Yeah.
exactly 100% sure.
okay,
It's a long email.
sorry for bringing up a sore subject.
Oh, no, I'm fine.
I just know that was. Yeah.
Glad you
It's gonna be
brought
done by
that up. I was-
November,
I
right?
was
No,
gonna
it's up,
ask.
it looks nice. I mean, I think it looks great. Good.
Yeah, good.
Excellent.
'Cause they have a
That's a good.
deadline of what, November
No, they
phasing
were-
or something?
Yeah. they-
And they're on track to meet, they're on pace to meet that, right?
They'll be ahead of it. I mean,
Yeah.
I think they're gonna have
All right,
five
so
slabs.
we're getting off in the weeds here. We need a motion to acknowledge.
We acknowledge it.
Motion to acknowledge the development agreement report.
Motion by Pincinel,
How's Fuzzy's doing?
Really good tacos.
Seconding.
Stay focused.
second by Jordan on the question. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Hey.
Aye, opposed, so carried. All right, now project updates
Now
here.
you can ask about.
He's open
go there?
today.
They did?
Yep.
Were you one of the first 50?
No, we're there on
We
Friday.
actually got to go on Friday.
Oh, so you were what part of the first, I heard first 50 people got free tacos for a year.
Third. My wife was 58, she got a free t-shirt.
The first 100 got t-shirts, yeah.
Oh, wow.
You were like that.
What's gonna happen when Bug Properties opens back up there?
We had a soft opening over the weekend, so
Are they doing okay? Was it good?
it was good.
It's good.
Good tacos.
It was busy at lunch today. That's great. That's around that time, yeah. It was packed. The old Wendy's. Oh, good. That Fuzzy's Tacos. I remember when that name came across your mark, I was just laughing.
Couldn't get
Do you remember
I
that?
didn't know what it was. I had to look it up. When they called me, I was like, Fuzzy's Tacos?
It just doesn't sound right.
They're well known in Texas.
Yeah, all right.
Oh,
Grace
ABC,
Wassel
where are they
Supplies
at?
adding on again?
Wassa Supply is adding again.
Putting a chicken coop up.
E-Tech is too, huh?
It is-
That's great.
Are they?
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's under construction.
Yeah, it's under construction, but we're still waiting on, they're under a early start permit locally and permission to start from the state. The state failed their building application though, so
Who's that?
for ABC. So we're waiting for approved plans from the state before they can start putting up a building. Most of it was egress issues is why they failed it. So,
Okay.
Oh, that's the one down here.
yeah, the old Lane Northwest site.
Have a quick trip.
Put that on your side?
On the outside TIF, item number 2, you spelled Turner wrong.
Sorry,
Oh,
it's when I type fast.
good job, Mark.
I'll fix it.
Someone's gotta be it. Just saying.
It has probably been like that for a few months, cause I.
I like Mark.
I'm gonna ask, because Jim asked me yesterday, anything new with Gold Key?
Not yet.
I asked about that today,
Yep,
actually.
that was discussed in our weekly department meeting. There hasn't been any progress on the site.
Noticed.
Stan had. He asked me to give him the approved plans from several years ago. Cause he couldn't find them. So I'm giving him those. Zillich is supposed to be taking care of the paving there. But they haven't mobilized on site yet, so. I'll have to track Stan down.
Isn't there work that has to be done before it can be paved though, because the curbs
They
don't line
haven't
up with the
mobilized
inlets
on
off the
site yet.
street?
They haven't mobilized on site yet.
Are they doing the curbing too?
They would be taking care of
Okay.
the curbing, yes.
Still water. It's another really bad subject, isn't it? Any better?
I went through there Friday and it looked better. So I was surprised that a lot of the lots that had more than normal amounts of garbage were cleaned up. It has kind of slowed down on what they were doing with the trailers, so as far as getting the new ones in, kind of slowed down their end of things, so.
Any update on their road plan? 'Cause I know
We have
that
not
was,
got- we have
you
not
were
gotten
kind
that
of
yet.
hinging your East Jelinek deal with.
Yeah, if we were looking at replacing water main, but they've been uncommittal as far as when they're gonna be doing that, so at this point, we're just forgoing, looking at replacing the water main this year through there, so.
Does that go?
Are we still planning to try to do it when they wanna do
We
it?
would if they, yeah, I mean, if they
Okay.
surprisingly all of a sudden in 3 weeks say, hey, we're paving the road and they magically get it done. That's fine, we can always look at lining it later without digging up the road, but
Michael, is that tied through to Schofield Avenue?
correct, yeah,
does.
it
So it goes
connects
through that.
East Jelnik to Schofield Ave,
Right through their main entryway. or-
correct.
It stops over by the backside there, right, or towards the south. There's no real road tie-in over by Jelnik.
The road does not tie in.
No.
The road doesn't, but the water and sewer does.
Water ties in across.
Yep.
Okay, this is starting to sound more like announcements and committee commissioner remarks.
What about is the car wash, next to festival, that's all rolling along? Okay, they're tearing into that hill.
There,
It sure appears to me like that wall's gonna be higher than 7 feet, which is what I remember hearing them say it was gonna be. But whatever.
We'll have to verify it when they get to it, I guess.
I think they gotta tear out more materials before they can build, I mean, to get proper.
Yeah, no, I know, I've looked at it pretty close, but it's a drop.
All right, any more on project updates?
No, the only thing I'll ask is, we've talked about is the TIF on Schofield Avenue, has that been, or that whole, has that been a good thing?
Let's go to them.
The TIF extension, has that been a positive?
I think so.
I think there's some interest in some of those other properties
Yeah, there's some
currently.
things percolating.
All right, announcements and committee commissioner remarks. Anything from staff? Staff over there?
Negative.
Mr. Deason,
No, thank you.
Mr. Gurnt?
I asked mine already,
Nope.
sorry.
Just if there was any progress with the meeting to discuss bonding and financial liabilities when developing a new subdivision.
Not yet. Michael and I'll have to talk about it.
Yeah, I know
Kinda
Heath
left
wasn't
open.
real, I guess, who do we want? Is there specific individuals or do you just want somebody who
I think we
represents?
need someone from the banking industry. I think we need someone, a developer, maybe it's Green Tree, I don't know.
Yeah,
But someone that wants to come to the table.
yeah,
Is Heath not interested?
Well, he was gone.
he was gone for a while and he basically just said, I'll talk to you guys when I'm ready to.
Which is fine.
So, which is, yeah, he didn't see an urgency in it, I guess.
And then someone that's.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to put something together for the Green Tree guys, so.
I can send him an email if you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, if we wanna, I can talk with Jen tomorrow and kind of see who we wanna. Come to the table, come to the table and maybe we have 2 developers and say, hey,
Yeah,
we're
for
gonna,
sure.
we're looking to have this conversation, who's interested?
Can you explain us some of the pros and cons, or what's the?
There's a problem, I think, 2 if not 3 times with Inner Springs that. The performance bond. That our current,
It's the letter of credit.
yeah, our requirements require that, and there's a huge cost to that, and we don't approve a signature bond. So it costs Heath, I don't know, like $35,000 or whatever, to get this thing for each phase.
We had to do that when we did Misty Pines.
Yeah.
And the thing of it is if you're gonna do a signature bond, then you're gonna wanna require their financials. To see if they're stable enough to go after it. I mean, you have to protect, the village has to protect what they're gonna take over.
Correct.
And that's why it's there. I think I spoke with you on that. I know Heath was adamant about that, but you know, as on from the developer side, your point is, hey, I'm sticking all this gosh darn money into this and I'm doing it, and then I gotta flip it over. Well, in the same token, you guys have to also maintain it, like Michael has to take over. And the road, if the road fails or whatever it may be, yeah, there's inspections for that, but there's a reason for it, you know? There's some risk there. But as on the developer side, I'll tell you, any developer that's gonna walk in here is gonna tell you they don't want it. It costs money. It costs more money. And it does add to the cost of the project, right?
I think his concern was he was saying that there was communities that weren't requiring that.
You should ask them who.
Everywhere, yeah.
Should ask them who.
Yeah. Right, we beat that up enough?
Yeah, that's all I have.
I got one question. How far, when we redo Jelinek next spring, how far towards that fence against Stillwater are we going? Is that all gonna get cleaned up? Cause some of that down in there, as you get down into like where Blackberry Circle is or whatever,
Yeah,
there is so much overgrowth and it just looks like. I don't know, I was just curious. I wasn't sure if we were doing anything
I
with that.
think we have a path kind of planned on the south side of the road, so the non-trailer park side of the road.
Okay.
That's safer for people.
Yeah, well, I think that, and there's some wetland there too.
Yeah, we were trying to avoid the wetland
And
and
that's
stuff.
probably why you guys, why it is the condition is, because you guys, I mean, you probably have the right of way.
We could probably mow it or try to knock it down, but
I'm just asking, I just drive it daily and I was just looking at it, I'm like, man, and then as you get up that hill. There's some huge trees that are underneath those power lines. That have been chopped off halfway up the tree, probably. 4 or 5 times now, I mean, I don't know, they just look terrible, that's why I asked. I wasn't sure if those were coming out, if they're ours or.
yeah, I mean, if they're in the right of way, I guess technically we can do what we want with them, so if we wanna remove them, we can remove them.
Who owns that parcel that, I always go by there and think that needs to be cleaned up as well, right on the corner, when if you're gonna head towards the Wish. That intersection, that corner, that, before that.
And towards Total Rental.
The DNR.
DNR or
DNR
DOT?
owns it.
A shame to them. That looks like doo-doo. Can you write them a letter, Jen?
Sure.
Seriously, tell them they're not meeting our ordinances or something.
What's in
Something, clean it up.
Well, I see there's like some storm drain stuff.
There's
sitting in
concrete
there.
stuff, it's been there for years. Can you guys ask to take that over? Is there any buildable property there?
I think it's all wet.
There's a lot of wetland in that.
Yeah,
one.
but you could probably get something on that
Tiny
first-
little thing right
You
on
got
there.
a coffee shop on there.
Why do they own it? Do we know?
I don't know.
Chickens.
KFC?
Yeah, you got see there.
You cut the storm drains in half and flatten them out, you have some hard surface.
All right,
For a motion to adjourn?
next regular meeting date, Monday, November 13th, 2023 at 6 PM. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Please.
Motion by Deason, second by Gurn on the question. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, so carried. Good.
I don't know.
As long as I thought.
We're told that we drilled them.
Shop expected to be here till 9.
I don't know if it's because there's like a stream that goes through there.
First.
Good.
Anything else? Straighter eyes.